I've been in orbit before. I know the hum of systems, the rhythm of footsteps in narrow halls, the constant buzz of life, even in the void. But this place, this is different. This space station, designated Icarus-III, was one of the most advanced deep-orbit habitats ever constructed. A marvel of international collaboration, positioned on the far edge of Earth's gravitational pull, crewed by 49 personnel, engineers, scientists, military liaisons, and now, gone every single one. No bodies, no distress signals, no signs of a struggle, just silence. I was part of a recovery team, sent after Icarus-III, stopped transmitting 3 weeks ago. No system failures, no warnings, just blackout. We docked cautiously, no response to hails. No automatic docking sequences. When the airlock opened, I was the first to step inside, and what hit me first wasn't the emptiness, it was the order. Everything was in place. Tools stored, meals half-prepped in the galley, notebooks open with pens still hovering mid-sentence, coffee still warm in sealed mugs. It was like they had all stood up at the exact same moment and simply vanished. The station systems were still running, lights dimmed, oxygen levels stable, power fully functional. The AI was offline though, not crashed, disconnected, like someone or something had pulled the plug cleanly. But why? Why leave everything intact and remove the people? We split up to search every corner of Icarus-III, every deck, every room. We found us nothing. No blood, no broken equipment, no signs of panic, only strange things. In the lab, one of the data screens was locked on. A file labeled, "Do not wake them." Password protected, triple encrypted. No way to crack it on site. In the hydroponics bay, all the plants had withered overnight, their roots curled upward, as if trying to escape the soil. And in the observation lounge, every screen showed Earth. But the image was wrong, it wasn't current. It was a feed from 72 hours before we lost contact. Like time had stopped inside this place, or been rewound. But the worst was the sound. Because deep in the lower decks, we started hearing something. Not voices, not footsteps, static, but not from our comms. It came from the air itself. A pulsing hiss, almost like breathing. In and out, in and out. No source, no reason. And yet, it seemed to follow us. Get louder when we split up. Grow colder when we got closer to the core. I found something else too. A handwritten note, stuffed into a vent panel on Deck 7. Scratched in shaky pen, it read, "They're still here." There, between the seconds. Don't turn off the lights. I didn't understand it then, but I do now, because on our third night aboard the station, one of us disappeared. Mid-sentence, gone in a blink. No sound, no trace. Just his voice, cut off, like the air itself swallowed him. And now the static's getting louder, and the lights, the ones I promised never to turn off, they're starting to flicker. After Daniels disappeared, we locked ourselves inside the command deck. It felt childish, locking doors against something we couldn't even see, but fear doesn't care about logic. The lights buzzed and flickered overhead, casting long shifting shadows across the consoles, and through it all, the static, that low, steady breathing sound, it wasn't just noise anymore. It had a pattern, a rhythm, something intelligent. We pored over every log we could access, hours of surveillance footage, telemetry data, crew reports, environmental records, and there it was, buried in a maintenance log, 2 weeks before the blackout, a routine spacewalk, a minor anomaly detected beyond the perimeter, a small dark object, drifting, almost invisible against the stars. No heat signature, no radio emissions. The logs showed the crew capturing it with a tether, bringing it into one of the docking bays for analysis. No alarm, no suspicion, just curiosity. They catalogued it as non-threatening debris, unidentified origin. After that, everything started to change. Equipment malfunctions, sudden headaches, sleepwalking incidents, crew members reporting lost time, minutes, sometimes hours, gone from their memories. But the logs were scrubbed. Someone, maybe the AI, before it was disconnected, had tried to erase it all, but they missed fragments, hints, warnings. The object, whatever it was, wasn't debris. It was a seed, a breach point, a crack in the thin walls separating our reality from something. Elsie, something older, something hungry. It didn't attack them, it didn't need to. It slipped between the seconds, between heartbeats, between blinks, and rewrote the rules. We started noticing it ourselves. Glitches, moments where the station didn't line up right, hallways stretching too far, doors opening into impossible rooms, reflections in the windows showing places we hadn't been yet. And the static? It wasn't just following us, it was learning us, mimicking the rhythms of our speech, repeating snippets of our conversations hours after they happened, whispering our names from empty rooms. We decided to move the object, seal it in the isolation lab, maybe eject it, maybe destroy it. We never got the chance. That night, Hammond disappeared. 1 minute he was checking the power relays. The next, we heard him screaming through the comms. Not words, just terror. And then silence. When we checked the cameras, there was nothing, no struggle, no attacker. Just Hammond, frozen mid-step, and then gone. Pixelated, distorted, like reality itself forgot he was ever there. That's when we understood. The station wasn't haunted, it was infected. The object had rooted itself into the fabric of Icarus-III, warping space, twisting time, turning every bolt, every beam, every breath into part of itself. We weren't trapped inside the station anymore. The station was trapped inside something else, something alive, and we were next. One by one, erased between the seconds. We stopped sleeping, not by choice. Every time we closed our eyes, we'd wake up somewhere else on the station, sometimes standing, sometimes lying on the cold metal floor, sometimes staring out into space with no memory of how we got there. And every time one more of us was missing, just gone. No blood, no broken equipment, no alarm, only the static growing louder, more invasive, almost curious. We had two choices left: seal ourselves into the command deck and pray for rescue, or find a way off the station ourselves. We chose the second. It wasn't courage, it was survival instinct. We suited up, ran system diagnostics, or what was left of them, and prepped the emergency escape pods. But when we reached the docking bay, it was wrong. The geometry was wrong. The bay stretched outward endlessly like a tunnel folding into itself. Pods that should have been right there were now impossibly distant. Tiny specks of light in a sea of darkness. Steps we took forward didn't match the distance we crossed. 5 steps, 10 steps. We were still standing in the same spot. The station wasn't just infected anymore. It had become part of the anomaly. Space, time, direction, all of it bending, looping, fracturing around us. One of us, Collins, tried to run for it. We watched him sprint toward the nearest pod, moving faster than I thought humanly possible. And then, without a sound, he just split. Not physically, existentially. One moment a man running, the next 1,000 fractured images of him, each one stuck in a different slice of time, flickering like broken holograms, screaming silently into the void. And then, nothing. Just the pod bay, empty again. No Collins, no escape. Panic hit us like a wave. We ran blindly without a plan, through corridors that twisted back into themselves, past doors that opened onto infinite abysses, through rooms filled with the frozen echoes of ourselves, laughing, crying, dying. Scenes we had never lived but somehow remembered. Reality itself was breaking apart inside Icarus-III, and we were breaking with it. There were 3 of us left now. Me, Grant, Riley. We barricaded ourselves in the communication tower. A mistake. The static was strongest here. You could hear it in the walls. Deep and wet, like something breathing against the metal. You could feel it in your teeth, in your bones, in your memories. It wasn't just noise anymore. It was a voice, not speaking words, speaking feelings. Hunger, loneliness, curiosity. We realized the horrible truth. The anomaly didn't hate us. It didn't even recognize us as separate beings. It saw us the same way we see bacteria under a microscope. Interesting, irrelevant, something to be observed, played with, consumed. Riley cracked first. She started talking. To it, whispering into the static, telling it stories, telling it memories. And the static answered, not in words, in images, visions projected against the walls, scenes from our childhoods, our dreams, our regrets. It was showing us everything we had ever been, not to comfort us, to digest us. It wasn't killing us violently. It was unraveling us, stripping away layers of thought and memory until there was nothing left but raw existence. Ready to be folded into whatever it was. Grant tried to stop her. He grabbed her, pulled her away from the comms array. But in that instant, he froze. Mid-movement, his body glitching in and out of reality, stretched thin like rubber, screaming without sound. As the air swallowed him whole, when the light flickered back, only Riley and I remained, and she was smiling. Vacant gone. I'm alone now. I can feel it creeping inside me, peeling apart my mind, thread by thread, memory by memory. I don't know how much longer I have before I'm just another whisper in the static, before I'm just another frozen smile on the wall, but I have to try, I have to leave a record, because someone needs to know we weren't attacked, we weren't invaded, we were noticed. And when we were noticed, we ceased to exist. I don't know how long I've been recording. Minutes, hours, maybe days. Time doesn't work here anymore. The clock on the wall has frozen at 03:14:07. My own watch is spinning backwards, and the lights are pulsing with a heartbeat that isn't mine. The station is almost unrecognizable now. Walls ripple like liquid metal. Floors stretch and contract like breathing lungs. Doors open onto endless black corridors, some whispering my name, some showing me faces I don't recognize more, and some showing me my own face, smiling when I know I'm not. The static is no longer in the air. It's inside me. I hear it whispering behind my thoughts, replacing words, rewriting memories. Small things at first. The name of my first pet. The color of my childhood bedroom. The face of my mother. Each memory erased like chalk under rain, replaced with nothing. I realized with a cold certainty what was happening. The anomaly wasn't just devouring the station, it was erasing the idea of the station, the idea of the people who lived here, the idea of me unmaking everything, one breath at a time. And once enough of the pattern was consumed, it would be as if we were never here. No records, no signals, no ruins. Just a hollow pocket in space where something had once tried and failed to matter. I fought it at first, tried to anchor myself, tried to remember who I was. I whispered my own name under my breath like a prayer. My name is Ethan Cole. I was born in Nova Scotia. I have a sister. But even those words feel distant now, like echoes from a dream I'm waking up from, or falling into. Maybe that's the truth. Maybe existence itself is just a fragile agreement, a story we tell ourselves. And the anomaly, it's the end of the story, the blank page, the silence after the final breath. But before I disappear completely, before I dissolve into the endless hum, I have to leave this, a warning, a memory, a scar. Because if anyone finds this station, if anyone is foolish enough to approach the silent void where Icarus-III used to orbit, turn away, don't dock, don't listen to the signal, because the signal isn't a distress call, it's bait, a lure cast into the dark sea of space, and once you hear it, once it knows you exist, it will reach for you, patiently, silently, between the seconds, between your breaths, until you too are nothing but a whisper in the static. I can feel it now. The final pull. I see my hands glitching in and out, trailing after images like broken holograms. I see the walls folding in. The static is no longer a sound. It's a sea, and I am sinking. One last thought before I go. Maybe we were never meant to leave Earth. Maybe the universe is not a place of discovery, but of predators. And when we looked up into the stars and dreamed, we were already being hunted goodbye.